after I won, years later, he ran into me. He goes, I talked to Mr. Mosley, and he was very upset that you won your case.
Oh, jeez.
And he is so pissed off he can't even see straight, you know. And I said, Maxima Mosley, oh yeah, I know. I said, but anyway, I said, look, David, I said, no hard feelings. I said, I think you just are confused about what your job is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know,
Overzealous prosecutor.
Yeah, I said, look, I'm not a bad guy. I said, the highway patrolman that pulled me over just freaked out on me. You know, I just said, am I under custodial restraint or arrest? And he said, no. And I said, oh, I said, am I free? And I said, so then I'm free to leave. And he said, he arrested me. I said that to him, and he arrested me. And so, and took me into custody, and charged me with DUI, all that stuff.
My own report.
Yep, go.
Greetings. Stephen, Captain Truth Dempsey here. This edition, Wednesday afternoon of your wake-up call.
Well, what's wrong?
We've got unofficial reports at this time of a Bundy shooting.
Well, what's wrong?
It doesn't sound good, folks. I happened to listen to 790, all of the show from 9 to noon, and I didn't. It looked to me like if anybody knew anything about it, it would immediately come in. I would certainly encourage anybody that hears anything. It was reported that somebody saw a segment on TV, we're a little unsure of what channel, local TV, that identified the shooting of one of Bundy's sons. So if you hear anything about that anytime during this show from 1 to 2, I certainly appreciate you giving me a call. It's 702-493-5222, or if that one happened to be busy or isn't functioning at this particular time, try 702-983-0711. That's 702-983-0711. I actually like that one a little bit better. 0711 kind of rings on a show in Las Vegas. But try this 702-493-5222 if you like that one better. And then if you're out of the jurisdiction, Las Vegas, and you'd like to make the call for free, it won't be too long, I promise you. I'll get you on as quick as I can. You call 800-833-2345. That's 800-833-2345. I'll admit I went on my email service. I'm on the Bundy's email notice. Haven't seen anything yet, but I don't know. You got to admit it doesn't sound good. And I've got 2 guys that are telling us what we may need to do. Let's hear what they've got to say. And of course, they say it in very interesting aspects. They say it via music, because music is persuasive, folks. And this is about the best music I've ever heard. We'll see what you think. I'll be back at, let's see, it's 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Well, that was it, folks. Justice is one thing you must always find. Thank you, Willie and Willie Nelson and Toby Keith. That's the best depiction of that song that I've been able to find. I'm not surprised it was on ABC. I'm sure they were pretty aware. They probably had millions of viewers the first time or the time that they played it on ABC. And the young man, I don't know his name. He's in the band. The guitar kind of solo there he did in the middle of the show. You might want to look it up. It's not hard to find. You do a search for it, or if you can't find it, all you got to do is send me an email, and I'll send you the link. Send me an email at ct911 at mail.com. That's ct911 at mail.com, and I'll do my best to try to get you that link. I've got it on both my email services now. I shouldn't have any problems finding it from time to time. But you know how that goes. Sometimes things disappear. If you heard the previous show, one of the participants on the previous show was having trouble with his computer. Somebody mysteriously wants to download Windows 10 to his computer. And I guess they have the ability to stop whatever you're doing, take your computer somewhere else, and doesn't sound like a good situation. Of course, he doesn't want it downloaded, so it would seem to me that he could prevent it from happening, but I guess sometimes you can and sometimes you can't. I did receive well, I'll talk about that in a minute. I hope you all saw the outcome of the Wisconsin election, both for Hillary, and I do believe in Hillary in 2016. I believe in her for president. And I haven't got a t-shirt yet, but it's on my list. It's going to move up, I think, here before too long. Everybody needs one of those. You get a chance, some enterprising individual, or maybe somebody that could use a few extra bucks might want to print some of them out. Design some kind of an announcement on the front and back. I know I saw Joe Biggs, who's a reporter for Alex Jones. He did 3 tours in Afghanistan, got blown up 2 or 3 times, 3 times, I guess. He went to one, and he said the first guy that saw him, he had a suit coat on over his t-shirt, and he stood up and kind of pulled his jacket back, and a lot of the cameras went to him. I believe it was the first time that at a Donald Trump function where the Hillary for prison in 2000, or Hillary in 2016 for prison was exhibited, and he became friends with one of the first guys to see it, that he was wearing it. He said he almost punched him. He thought he was a Hillary supporter. But later, I guess Joe said he bought him a drink at the bar, so I guess they got past the almost got excited at him for the wrong reason. And I think that's pretty important. And I would say that there are many Americans that think the key phrase there, think that the vote count is important. You know, I still have never heard Bernie complain about him getting more votes in some of the states and Hillary getting more delegates. Of course, then Bernie Sanders didn't complain, and when the same thing started happening to Donald Trump, of course the media said that it was just Trump being a sore loser. He just doesn't know how things are working. Just because you get more votes doesn't mean you get more delegates. You got to know what you're doing. So I guess I'm not sure exactly what that means. Give out the phone numbers. I've heard some of the GOP bigwigs, you know, the people that are chowing down on the public trough on the gravy train. I've heard them try to explain all this. You know, they said it's something to do with the rules. And Romney's people last time, with one thing I heard him say, were the main contributors to the rules last time, and that meant that they were able to keep Ron Paul's people off the floor of the convention. Because they had a rule that you had to win 5 states, I think it was, 4 or 5 states. And Ron Paul had done that. I think, or he was close to doing it. They got a little nervous, I think. I don't remember what the exact rule was, but they changed it. And now they've changed it, and that would prevent any of Kasich's, Governor Kasich from Ohio, prevent any of his people from being on the floor. And they blamed Romney's people for doing it. Well, Romney was the leading vote getter. I guess he had more delegates than anybody else. If Trump is the leading vote getter and has more delegates than anybody else, does Trump decide to get the rules, or are we going to change the rules again? Of course, you can't worry about asking too many questions, because that GOP is a private organization. They're free to do whatever they want. Sounds like a lot like me to a RICO operation of some kind. It's highly political, highly publicized, generates tons of money, and it's all a scam. Sounds like a RICO operation to me. I don't know about you. If you feel that way, I guess you can call in and express how you feel. What I had planned today, and we'll see how it goes. I heard yesterday on a show, there was a gentleman that is part of the Libertarian Party. I'm fully convinced, folks. If you remember back, I predicted that they'd steal the election in Wisconsin from Trump. I can't support that yet. I did hear a lot of the reporters and on-site interviewers going to Wisconsin for Infowars.com /show if you want to watch it, since he's hooked up his television network with the radio show. You can do that 24 hours a day too. Pretty interesting, huh? Any time of the day or night, you can click on Infowars.com /show and watch the show. So that's what I'm going to do. I heard yesterday a piece of this gentleman's interview. I'm hopeful that I can find it in the minutes ahead. I think I'm going to be able to. And if I do, we're going to listen to it. He's like I said, he's a very interesting character. He's been on Alex's show several times. His name is McAfee. Ever heard of that? Ever heard of McAfee virus protection or some kind of he developed a procedure whereby to protect your computer from marauders or terrorists or whatever you want to call them. People that decide that your computer's working too good, we'd like to slow you down some and cause you untold expenses trying to get it fixed. And you know, I guess I've benefited from it unintentionally. I had nothing to do with it, obviously. But the computer I have, the gentleman that fixed it, he paid $13 for it before he gave it to me, before he fixed it and gave it to me. And why was he able to buy it for $13? Because it's a pretty old office computer, which office computer, I think in those days, were it's been quite a while, were probably some of the top functioning computers that were made, because they got a lot of use in offices, and they were subject to viruses and other things that we're discussing. That you know, when your McAfee security lapses or somebody else's security lapses, and your computer isn't protected, and you get it'll crash. I had that happen a couple times, and he fixed it both times. It kind of depends on where you go, what sites you go to, whether or not whether or not that happens. And I guess I unknowingly went to the wrong sites. I didn't really know which ones I could go to, which I couldn't. I thought it, but I'm sure it's I'm pretty sure it's not positive. Pretty sure it's the people that are selling you the protection or selling new computers, one or the other. I'm sure you know, I can still remember reading the first book when I got back to Las Vegas from law school. I had a gentleman at a town hall meeting hand me a copy of None Dare Call It Conspiracy. He had provided some of the impetus. He was a jet pilot for a major airline. He had some IRS problems, and that's why he was pretty much a patriot. He learned a lot of what was going on and what wasn't going on in that situation. He wanted to stand up for the truth. That's why he attended things like that. And he had influenced a friend of his who was a good top-notch researcher to write a book, and he called it None Dare Call It Conspiracy. It was I read it, and wow, that's amazing. It was followed by a book that was called Call It Conspiracy. Folks, when you get enough facts, it ceases to be a conspiracy. It ceases to being the conspiracy, and it becomes a fact, a factual reality. No matter how many times you don't want to hear it, or think it can't be true, or you wouldn't like for it to be true, once you get enough facts, you got to go along with it. We just listened to the past hour to a lot of the information regarding ownership of land in Nevada. You know, I was involved in that movement 20 years ago. A gentleman named Wayne Hage was in I don't know, battle or certainly legal battle with the BLM and the government organization at that time that didn't want him to just forget about it, and either we'll take you to our courts, you know, and you'll get some just us, or just do what we tell you to do. I guess that was the two choices that Wayne H. had. And he ran into a congresswoman somewhere up north. I forget where she was really from. They were both at the state convention the first time I ran for political office. And so I got a chance to meet them both. And they were on the same wavelength, and they were about the same age, and neither one of them had spouses, and they got married. That was really a neat situation. I was really glad I got the chance to observe that. And you know, Wayne went a long ways, and it's a good thing that he did, because now Clive Bundy's picking up the mantle. Good thing he's got a lot of kids, a lot of children, a lot of sons, and he's got a lot of support here in Nevada. You know, this is where the people think that the Constitution's supposed to mean something. Even to the people charged with the responsibility for seeing that it's not violated. You know, the ones that take an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic. If you're an elected official, you took an oath like that, you better dig it out. Get you a dictionary or go online and see what you can find out what some of those words mean. If you want to properly perform to your oath of office, it's called. You know, we've got a lot of people. I can still remember where he was a judge at that time. He'd been the lead district attorney, and I caught him in the elevator one time. Another accident. Patriot and I were down there looking up some things in case laws in the law library. And as soon as we left, got on the elevator, and there he is, the judge then that had been a district attorney, and we found a couple discrepancies in the oaths of office, and it changed suddenly right in the middle of a 12-year span. We found it the original oath that was 12, 15 years before. 7 or 8 years later, it changed, and so I got a chance. He knew my name. I'd been in his. I talked to him before when he was a district attorney. I think I'd been in his courtroom a couple times when he was a district court judge. And he says, "Steve," he says, "I just signed whatever they put in front of me." Well, if you're a public servant and you just sign what they put in front of you, don't be surprised if they don't. Some document saying that you owe somebody a bunch of money doesn't surface. If it's witnessed and it's your signature, I guess you owe the money. Maybe you ought to think about reading what you're signing. So let's see what I've located Mr. McAfee. If I haven't yet, I'm sure the show's going to let us know. Like I said, I believe that he's been contacted by the Libertarian Party. I'm not even sure at that point. I was really sleepy when I woke up. It would have been on this morning about, this would have gone on about 4 o'clock. But I kind of trust in coincidence. I know Gordon won't like hearing that, but because I don't believe in coincidence. If I wake up, there's probably some reason for it. I woke up, I turned on my radio, and there was this McAfee gentleman being interviewed about his candidacy. I believe in backup plans, folks. I would love to see Donald Trump elected. I don't think we can do any. I know we can't do any worse. Will we have to watch him? Of course. And will we have to be vigilant? Of course. But that's the price of liberty. Eternal vigilance. So don't be surprised when that's a requirement. But we really ought to do it. If freedom, liberty, and this constitutional republic is important to you, if freedom and liberty for your children, for your family, for your country, for your future of all three of those is important to you, you might want to think about some vigilance. So let's see what we got here. Well, you'll be hearing what we got. I'll be back at the first break.
She's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealth wealthy businesses just to control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. As long as it's bought and paid by the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls, they got the judge in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all the news and information you get. You capture by the balls. They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the vanishing pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. And now they're coming for your Social Security money so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. It's a big club. And you ain't in it. You said recently, when you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do. Better believe it. So what specifically did they do? If I ask them, if I need them, most of the people on this stage I've given to, just so you understand, a lot of money. You and I are not in the big club. The owners of this country know the truth. It's called the American dream, because you have to be asleep to believe it. But I'll tell you what they don't want. They don't want a population of citizens capable of critical thinking. They don't want well-informed, well-educated people capable of critical thinking. Now, that doesn't help them. That's against their research. Lines of the information war. It's Alex Jones. Ladies and gentlemen, we are broadcasting worldwide. John McAfee has a big article out dealing with the bombshell revelations hidden in the Panama Papers concurring. My analysis is really a Rockefeller Soros Foundation op targeting Putin selectively, but not one person in the United States. Also, we're going to obviously have Wayne Madsen on the murder of the D.C. madam and the phone number now confirmed, reportedly, according to Radar Online and others, to be Ted Cruz's. We've been at the heart of that investigation since she was on my show 2 weeks before they murdered her. And I've interviewed her friends, her family. They were after her. They said they were going to kill her. She was hiding. She was trying to get documents to people. When they beat her up, drug her into the shed at her mother's house and killed her. And the mainstream media went along with that lie, except for Geraldo Rivera and a few others. And as much as I disagree with Geraldo on a few issues, I think he's a very honorable, smart man who has a lot of courage for the things he's done in the past. With that said, I disagree with him on the open borders and things like that. Look, there's so much happening in this world that it all ties together. And I want to get him on for a full hour in the near future, which is on with us for about 20 minutes right now. Leo Zagami, leozagami.com is a best-selling author worldwide. I'm not going to go over his whole bio, but he has been highly involved with the Vatican, been involved in some of the higher-level secret societies that are based there in Rome's family. Obviously involved in some of that. That's how he got into all of it. And so much of what he's talked about has ended up coming true. Like he said, they're going to have a black pope. It's going to be a Jesuit, probably, of this individual that we now currently have. He talked about a lot of this. He said a couple of years ago that this new pope would end up resigning later and setting a precedent that you just have popes for 5 or 10 years or less. Now he's announcing that, where you may have multiple popes. So they're killing the institution, whether you love it or hate it. Calling for world government, calling for open borders, criticizing Donald Trump when he's got 100 to 200 foot walls. He called for the Italian military to go into Macedonia and Albania to stop the Islamics pouring in. But he wants every other country to take these folks in. So if you're a radio listener, you don't have to be a video Skype, but if you're a TV viewer at InfoWars.com/show, you can see in the background some of the amazing footage we shot last year in Rome, right above the Vatican and inside of the Vatican. Some HD footage shot by Rob and myself there on screen. Also raw HD footage of the bizarre occult compound out in southwest Texas where Scalia died, where there were devil masks on the main walls, little plaques of demons ripping apart and eating children. And Wayne Madsen is an investigative journalist par excellence. He said, I believe this is Bohemian Grove connected and that this is Dick Cheney connected. And he said, I said, how do you know? He just goes, I just have a gut feeling. Well, no, he has sources. And then it broke the Washington Post. It was a cult. You know, over there, he's part of a Vatican Association of the Brotherhood of Hunting. But that's a cover because they said it had been destroyed by Hitler. And so it was all brought back by Bohemian Grove in 1960. They take old orders and launch them again. Now, you're going to look here. This isn't Alex Jones saying this. This is the Washington Post. Justice Scalia spent his last hours with members of a secret society of elite hunters. This is weeks after our group's down there and said it was like Bohemian Grove meets The Shining. So all this occultism ties in. So I want to boil down this in pieces with Leo Zagami with us right now. We'll also talk about his latest book as well. It's also in English. But Leo, I mean, the occultism, the secret societies, they were created saying it's a good society. Then later you find out there's a society within a society within a society. Geopolitically, what do you make of our election, Donald Trump, other big stories you're working on, and how this ties into Scalia?
Well, Scalia was in an order, actually, which is called the Order of Saint Hubertus. This order is an order dedicated to hunting. It's a knighthood order that goes back hundreds of years in the Austro-Hungaric Empire. It's basically
Germany.
Sorry?
Germany, yes.
Yes, but at the same time, like all knighthood orders, they are linked to the Vatican because there is no knighthood order that can be granted without the blessing of a church if you are an aristocrat. As this order is particularly connected to the European aristocracy, of course, is also connected to the Vatican. So Judge Scalia found himself in environment which is typically conservative, like the environment we know in Bohemian Grove. Like you said, it has connections to Bohemian Grove because some of these orders risk to be extinguished when the Nazis arrived and they first of all closed down Freemasonry and then persecuted certain knighthoods which they feared they could be used against them. And one of them, of course, was this specific one. So they might have on the outside an honorable cause, which is to defend, the honorability of a certain kind of hunting done in a traditional way and so on. But like you said earlier, the honorable, maybe outspoken endeavor of this order is not really why they are meeting. They are meeting to just make business, lobbying, and manipulating this new world order, crafting it in a very reserved fashion in these clubs, these orders, wherever they are in the world. The Panama Papers that we are seeing now, of course, they are, it's a conspiracy specifically dedicated to those people who are not in line with the democratic agenda of the U.S., so with Soros, with Obama, and the whole show.
Sure, exactly. And then Bohemian Grove recreated the society, so it wasn't the original conservative society where even though it was authorized by the Vatican, he goes to it even though it's run by a bunch of former Black Op commanders and Democrats that are in Obama's hip pocket and that Obama hangs out with. Sounds to me like he walks into a trap. We'd be insane to not investigate.
The thing is that you see that this order in the specific actually is linked to the black nobility of Europe. This aristocracy, which is very close to the Vatican, is a superpower.
So you're saying he was in a super high power group?
It was a very super high power group, absolutely. I mean, they are the ones who are untouched. I mean, if you go and see, for example, who is being touched by this Panama Papers now scandal, the latest thing that has happened in the media, you will not see any members of the Bilderberg or prominent members of the Trilateral. You will simply see those people which at the moment maybe can be, let's say, an enemy to this plan, which was to install Hillary Clinton, president of the White House, and everybody here in Europe is feeling this. that's why they have also now exposed in the Panama Papers that a lot of money is going to the Le Pen family, for example, because they want to destroy the credibility of Le Pen in France. And at the same time, Le Pen is connected to Matteo Salvini here in Italy, which is now with the Northern League taking a very strong conservative stand against this immigration. And also we have in the Panama assets Vladimir Putin, which is really the only one who has been really fighting ISIS on the ground, not with terrorists, but with actual war on the ground. It cost him also a lot of soldiers. Of course, at one point he pulled out of the whole thing because he has probably reached some kind of deal at the geopolitical level.
Sure. Without getting into too much of the esoteric, looking at the election, looking at what's happening, looking at Ted Cruz, they have a lot of great sources, Leo Zagani, this is all interconnected. What does it signify that the Pope's openly come out for world government, openly got involved in our internal elections, the Chinese communists have joined in, everybody else has joined in, we see this total demonization of Trump. From your intel, is he good? Is he bad? Do they not know who he is? So they don't want him getting in a power position because he's not compromised? To me, it looks like they're legitimately really fearful of Donald Trump. I see them demonizing him in case he's their operative to put him in power and fool the people, but they look legitimately upset right now.
No, they are upset. You see, I have had contact with people who are actually very close to Donald Trump here in Europe, and I see how they are operating. There are actually a lot of friends of mine involved in this. And of course, even here in Italy, they are fearing the arrival of Donald Trump, because that automatically will mean a complete change, a political change in Italy, in France, in Germany, everywhere in Europe. So this reflection of something that could really change things scares the Democrats. The conservatives now, unfortunately, are getting corrupted, and you will see how much this corruption gets in the coming, of course, geopolitical.
That's what I was about to say. They seem to be losing control. The corruption's coming out everywhere of every institution. We're finding secret societies that are Vatican connected under every rock. You know that I've never been a Catholic basher. That's not much saying it's a Catholic conspiracy. But clearly they've used the Catholic system and the Catholic institutions to bring in this Illuminati program that I know the church for many hundreds of years reportedly fought. Some would say, oh, that's really a dialectic, it's controlling it. But then separately, you've got all this other corruption coming out about the royal families and pedophilia and other institutions, and that the interest rates are rigged, and that there is a world government, and that there are cancer viruses being added to the vaccines. I mean, almost everything I talk about and that you talk about that was hidden is now just coming out in the open. Have they lost full control? Why are they just admitting so much? Like, okay, we really are going to appoint whoever the candidates are going to be for the first time ever. It seems to be an uncloaking.
They are scared of Donald because Donald is not part of a club, of an order, doesn't care about the knighthood, and doesn't care about any degree of Freemasonry that can be bestowed upon him as an honorary degree because he's been a good fellow in the system. Donald really cares about the American people. I think that he's a businessman, he's a practical man. He might not be a great statesman, but I'm sure he might surround himself with great statesmen in the future. The problem is now that there might be an act of sabotage against him from the military-industrial complex that is moved within the Republican Party nomination. This is the real problem of now, and it would reflect in the whole politics of the New World Order.
What happens with the media complex globally as the newspapers across the world collapse, as establishment media collapses, as new independent media that nobody's talking about explodes? There seems to be some point where the establishment has to do something desperate to maintain their control. We see the attempted censorship. We see the Muslim invasion. How does all that tie into this?
Well, they continue to pour in immigrants into Europe. The Pope continues to say that we have to accept them. He goes through all kinds of propaganda stunts. He even washed the feet feet of Muslims on the day he was supposed to do the act of washing the feet of some faithful. I really don't understand how a pope can wash the feet of another faith or somebody from another faith in an act which is really a ritual.
That's one world religion stuff.
Yeah, it is really, in the end, like we said in the past, Alex, going towards the one-world religion scenario. And these immigrants now, of course, are a lot of business also for the church and for all these hypocrites, these politicians that I'm sure if Panama is the place where a lot of conservative politicians have put their money, there is other places around the world where the Democrats, the left-wingers put their own.
Well, it's come out the press socialists literally pay almost no taxes, and that's what's paying out.
People like, for example, Massimo D'Alema, who used to be a communist, he has big palaces in Monte Carlo, he has money all over the world, and the same is for many other political leaders of the so-called left, including, of course, people close to the Clintons. So now we are in a situation in which we have to really understand that our people who are ruling this planet are corrupt. Fundamentally, they are corrupt. There's very few people.
Well, you made a lot of predictions. You wrote the book, The Last Pope, and then before that, you predicted there'd be a Jesuit Pope for the first time ever. Then you predicted that they would start again, as I said earlier, only serving 5 years like a term. He's now announcing everything he said he would do. You've obviously got the high-level sources in the Vatican. So tell us, Mrs. Zagani, tell us the next shoe to drop.
Well, last week, for example, the famous article which InfoWars that we made in Rome was exposed, even by the Pope, who started his own investigation against Cardinal Bertone, because the money to this famous act, which we talked about, you remember, Alex, in this lavish place in Tarcisio Bertone was living, was made with money stolen from the church for the little children. So this is the hypocrisy of the powerful people that are in the Vatican. And Tarcisio Bertone, instead of condemning this situation, he came out and said, well, my attic is smaller than the ones of other 30 cardinals living in Rome. So there is another 30 cardinals living in Rome who have an attic bigger than the one that Tarcisio Bertone has, which is several hundred square meters. So why do we have to continue with this pathetic nonsense? I think that they are very scared because Donald Trump is a man of practical means, a man that sees also injustice when he sees it, and that he might really break this whole balance that they are achieving through selling to the people an illusion that the Pope is a holy man, that the Prime Minister or the President are very great people, but in reality they are all corrupt.
Sure. I want to shift gears back to what happened to the Justice Scalia, Antonin Scalia. Do you have intel on whether he was murdered or not? And if so, why? I mean, some of the key cases he was going to be hearing, such an important time for this to happen. The whole thing's fixed to high heaven. The scripting of how they announced he died, the bizarreness of where he died, not having the autopsy, just from the beginning, it was like almost meant to make it suspicious.
Well, you see, the problem here is that the means that they might have used to kill him are now only known to intelligence services. Basically, they can give you things that react in a way that is even worse than poison, and create, of course, a possible stroke of other illness within the body, have a confirmation. Because it's literally impossible for the body to be brought in any way. But from staying here in Europe, it seems that this secret society is linked directly to the Club Bilderberg and to the Jesuits, not only to the Bohemian, because it's linked to some in the European aristocracy. Remember when one of the last meetings of the Club Bilderberg was done? It was done in Austria, no? meetings of the club Bilderberg
Yes, it was in Austria. Yes.
and this order is linked to Austria.
Absolutely. Now expanding on this, how are things going for the globalists? How are things going for this power bloc? Because China also is threatening military action. There's a lot of fights going on with Russia. How are things going between the different power blocs? Other key points you'd like to make in closing, Leo?
Well, in this power struggle, still we have to see the definite moves that will be done by China in the coming weeks, because I think that if China gets involved by Soros into these Panama Papers, he might risk some kind of reaction from China. And China has some very powerful assets they can move against Soros. And of course, the Bank of China also works very closely with the Rothschild Bank. So it might seem like at the moment these Panama Papers are only hitting on one direction, but the reflections of this scandal might actually hit the actual people who have motivated the CIA agents who have given that material, because that's how it is.
Sure. I mean, the German paper's the most controlled that's come out in the news. They put it out. They have it for a year to vet, to target who they want to go after. And it's clearly to just go after anybody that they don't control. Leo Zagami, leozagami.com. His book, The Last Pope, available in English across the world.
And also, Confessions Volume 1 and Volume 2 were also mentioning you, Alex, and there's a surprise for you on Volume 2.
Surprise for me in Volume 2. I can't wait. All right, we're going to have you on soon, buddy. Thanks a lot for joining us. I want to do an interview with you on that sometime. Stay with us. We got March.
Well, where's Gordon when you need him? Another coincidence. I thought sure that that Mr. The gentleman McAfee had some kind of agreement with the Libertarian Party to be their presidential candidate. I thought sure that was the section that it was going to be on, but instead Alex had on somebody else who's studied behind the scenes, a reliable individual repeatedly as far as his intelligence goes. A whistleblower, kind of like Donald Trump, I think will be. I think that's the fear that the powers that be, are facing with Donald Trump. I think that's my reason until I see something different. You heard George Carlin talk about this, what we're facing, right? I'm going to close with that. So I think I've got it pretty closely keyed up to it. I'll go ahead and use my earphones and make sure. George Carlin, he was way ahead of his time. I hated to lose him, but that's okay. We're replacing whistleblowers, folks. They keep rising up. We had one of them on Face the Tribune, a young man that's investigating the corruption in the judicial system. There's enough to go around, though. If you think you'd like to be an investigator or start getting involved in this, now's the time. The Republic can use your help. You know, it's like Benjamin Franklin told that young lady when asked about our government, what kind they had given the American people upon exiting Freedom Hall in Philadelphia. He turned to her and he says, he's reported to have said, a republic, madam, if you can keep it. Well, he was speaking to you too, folks. If you can keep it. But let's hear what George thinks we're facing, what we're up against. You got to learn about your enemies. Here they are as far as he's concerned. I'll close with that. I'll be back to say goodbye.
It's never going to get any better. Don't look for it. Be happy with what you got. Because the owners of this country don't want that. I'm talking about the real owners now. The real owners, the big wealthy business interests that control things and make all the important decisions. Forget the politicians. The politicians are put there to give you the idea that you have freedom of choice. You don't. You have no choice. You have owners. They own you. They own everything. They own all the important land. They own and control the corporations. As long as it's bought and paid by the Senate, the Congress, the state houses, the city halls, they got the judges in their back pockets. And they own all the big media companies, so they control just about all the news and information you get to you. They classify the laws. They want obedient workers. Obedient workers. People who are just smart enough to run the machines and do the paperwork, and just dumb enough to passively accept jobs with the lower pay, the longer hours, the reduced benefits, the end of overtime, and the pension that disappears the minute you go to collect it. Now they're coming for your Social Security money so they can give it to their criminal friends on Wall Street. It's a big club. You ain't in it. Recently, when you give, they do whatever the hell you want them to do. Better believe it. So what specifically did they do? If I ask them, if I need them, most of the people on this stage I give it to, just so you understand. A lot of money.
Oh, there it is. Donald talking about giving money to the paid politicians. You heard George Carlin say what they want is obedient workers. Yeah, people that what they don't want is a well-informed and critical thinking public. If you can get there, this is a spot to be. I don't know too many obedient workers here at the Radio Tribune. It's kind of like herding cats. Everybody's got their own thoughts, and they're slow to change. But sometimes we all have to change after a while. What we talked about in the none dare call it conspiracy. When you continue to stack up facts, it ceases to be a conspiracy. It is, and I think we're all faced with that eventually. Reality, constructive reality of what really happened. I'll go ahead and track down the interview with McAfee. I think it's probably next on this second hour. I was listening to the second hour, yesterday's show, Infowars.com. You can get there either Infowars.com/show. You probably, if today's come up, you'll need to go to prisonplanet.tv. You can get a 15-day free trial there. If money's an important issue and when your trial runs out, get in touch with me. I'll get you a username and a password. Nobody's going to be turned away from this information. Not when your country, your full life of you, your family, and your country are at stake. We all have to do our best if we can. So if you're doing your best, I got no complaints. If there's any question in your mind, this is the place to be. Call in from time to time, ask questions. That's the way we always learn, very quickly. And don't be afraid to bring these subjects up to some of your friends. They'll ask you questions, and then you'll really have to learn. When you start answering questions, you're going to have to really go into an investigative mode. I'd like to close with, next time I run into the quote or his, who it was a picture documentary on GCNlive.com. And it was a gentleman who'd been in, I'm sure it was a deathbed confession because it appeared to be a late 1910 or 1920s, maybe 1930s picture. He'd been involved in the federal government disinformation campaign, and he said it was a quote that he'd given, probably in his latter days. He says, "Our job will be totally complete as agents of misinformation when everything that the American people believe is wrong." So that's what you got to look forward to. That's when they're going to stop programming you to believe something that isn't true, folks. When everything that you believe is wrong. So that's I encourage you to go ahead and stick around for the next show. We're going to have the herd on here in a minute. I hope. You're going to have an opportunity to join that organization. I went to a public place the other day. I haven't sent them the email, but I got their email, and I got they appear to be a community-oriented business. I was thinking that if we set up the town hall meeting here in the office and we get too many responses, or I'll be done in a minute, as soon as he shuts me off. If we get too many responses or we need a bigger place, I would love for that to be the case. And, you know, that's where we should be. They've got a room that'll hold at least 60 or 70. And then we'll look for someplace bigger. Maybe we'll have to go out there to the, out on the strip to that new auditorium. Of course, it only holds 20,000.